Welcome, everyone, once again to the Vinyl Community Guncles. We're on episode number 31. This is a special episode. Next week is when we'll review our tops and bottoms of 1978 and give our reviews of the album Cave World from the Viagra Boys. So this is a special episode where we draw our winner of the $40 Amazon gift card. How exciting.
It's so exciting.
I mean, I can't hide it.
One of you out there.
I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. I wrote a sweeper for our radio station that said the Pointer Sisters should wear sweaters that should hide it. I wonder how many people got that. But loose-fitting sweaters that should hide it. But yeah, so that's next week. This week is all about the albums that our contest entry people suggest. Is that entrant a word? Contest entrants?
Entrance.
Yes.
Well, entrance
Yes.
is a word.
It is now.
It's the ones that they suggested. We only had a few people do the ones we would hate, but it was, you're supposed to pick albums for each of us that you think we would love or we would hate, or some adventurous people even could do both. We'll start off with Chris from Record Talk.
Chris from Record Talk.
I think Mike is first, right?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris suggested the Sunshine Boys. It's funny that he suggested this record because this is their final record. I've actually seen the Sunshine Boys several times in concert. I think I was at the album release for this record. I saw their final show. They're no longer together. They've split up. The drummer was also in the Blake Babies, I believe. And they're actually from right down the street from me. They're very local. They live, a couple members, I believe, live in Evanston. So they played, when they were together, they used to play quite a bit in the area. They would play record stores and stuff. I know they played my local record shop when he did his grand opening. They did a little afternoon acoustic show. It's a fun record. It's really, really good. I don't own it for some reason, actually. I should have bought it at the album release party. I think the reason I didn't, I don't think it's on vinyl. It might be, or it's just on CD. I'm pretty sure it's just on CD.
He's only showed the CD, I think. So.
Yeah, I think it only came out on CD, and that's probably why I didn't buy it. But a really fun record, and yeah, I really like them. It was a shame to see them split up. I don't think it was acrimonious or anything. I think I read somewhere that the drummer was having back issues, and she just can't do the drums, as much as she used to. So. Yeah, good. Sunshine Boys, great pick, Chris. Really, really good. Because he was the first entry, and I was like, wow, I actually know who this is, and a local band that I've seen several times in concert. So yeah, thank you, Chris. Definitely.
So yeah, I noticed a lot of them. Well, not a lot of them, but quite a few of them were, which is probably the same thing, only available on CD. So should we have stipulated something like only 12 inches? We don't want the 5-inch. Not good enough.
It's an unwritten rule.
One of my recommendations, their entire catalog is only available, I think, on CD, which was fine. I bought one today.
Okay, so he picked for me Caitlin Rose, Owns Side Now. And I'd never heard of her before, and I thought it was great. What I liked what he did for us, too, is he also picked a certain song off of the album that he thought we should listen to. And the one that he picked that I should listen to is called Shanghai Cigarettes. And it's, because I'm all about the cigarettes. We know this. So it's a fun song. I like the guy that, I can't remember what his name was, but the guy that was singing along with her. And I actually ordered this. It hasn't come yet, but I did order this. I really, really, really liked it, and I'm going to check out. She has I think this is her second album, and her third one just came out. So I'm going to check that out later. But I'm excited to get that.
Yeah, when I saw that suggestion for you, I was like, Craig's going to love this.
Yeah,
it's a really good record.
Up my alley. So yeah, definitely something that I'm not. Yeah, it's really, really, really good. I really, really like her.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, the one that he had picked for me, again, a band I've heard people mention before, but I had not heard them, and that's American Football. And this was their debut album, American Football. And yeah, this was a very good pick for me. Right from the start, it has a very sort of math rock, post rock style with the music and really good vocals. It shifts easily into very contemplative guitar. There's a trumpet in parts of it that works really well. The lyrics are kind of moody, and they're some of the songs, are very diffident, and but definitely I could see the resemblance because I talked a lot about Toe and some other post rock, math rock kind of bands, and this did kind of fit, as Mike says, it fits into my wheelhouse in terms of music that I like to listen to. It was interesting that they're from Champaign, Urbana, actually from Urbana, but the two cities are like, twins, are right next to each other, and it's pretty cool that quite a few bands have come out of that because that's where the University of Illinois is. Yep. Very much a big college town out in the middle of farmland country. It's just, if you've ever been there, it really is. All of a sudden, there's all this farmland, and then boom, there's this town. Somewhat, small city.
Is C Street still open? That's the question.
It's been a while since I've been
there.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Damn.
But they did have a cool downtown where they, kind of limited traffic and that kind of thing. I would like to go there and sort of hang out. But yeah, American football, really enjoyed this. This is definitely a record that's I've been looking for. In fact, I should have been looking for it today. I was looking for something else because I was in a record store and I forgot about that to check the bins to see, because it's all the records are pretty easy to find. So,
it was a very popular record.
Yeah, I mean, it was
big hit.
It was huge.
I'm not familiar with it either.
But I do really like. Good pick, Chris. Thank you very much for that.
So I'd seen Chris talk about this Jam Rock box set, and which is like $400 or something like that. And he's talked about it in a few of his videos, and it looks really, really interesting. It's this rock from Africa, and one of the albums on there is one of the ones he picked for me. It's Amanaz, and the album's actually called Africa. And I thought it was really good. It was. It's almost like a toe in the water. I want to start getting more involved, more into music from different parts of the world other than just North America and the UK. So this was perfect. It's almost like he was reading my mind. But they do try to almost sound like an American like rock band. This is from the 70s too, so it fits right in. So it's almost like I said, like a toe in the water. It's not African music, but it is music from Africa. And they do actually sing a few of the songs in an African language. I don't know which one it is, but a lot of great bass work. It sounds just like one of those bong shaking bass classic rock albums. And unfortunately, it's a little confusing because there's two different mixes of it. There's the original mix, which is the one I would want. And then there's like a reverb mix. And sometimes the reverb mix gets mistakenly put into the sleeve of the original mix album, so you don't know which one you're getting. And so there's that. So I'm going to have to wait to find this in an actual physical record store where I can hear it and make sure that I have the right one. But yeah, it looks like Chris nailed it for all four of us.
Yeah,
it's a little disturbing how much he kind of knows us.
Yeah,
he pays attention.
Definitely, I probably would not have, because like I said, that box set is $400, and I would probably rather have the individual releases than. I know the box set comes with a big book and everything, but I would rather have the individual ones that I want and just kind of put in with the other records rather than having it all under.
You can find those outside of the box set now.
Yeah,
I think especially the one he suggested. I've seen it at my local shop. So yeah,
they're all pretty much available.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm going to have to find it in a local store to make sure that it has the right mix.
Yeah,
because the wrong mix gets put in the wrong sleeve apparently. So
Chris is a regular, on my Sunday stream. So he hears me talk about records, and so he's pretty familiar with what I like and don't like.
Okay, so that moves us on to our second entry, and that's from Jack's Tracks Contests.
Me.
Yes.
Jack suggested this record. I own this. I love this record. This is Consenting Adults.
How ironic.
Right? This is this is a jazz record. A bunch of like modern current people who are making records nowadays. This came out a few years ago. It's a record store day release. I think this is the first here it says it on the sticker inside. First time ever on vinyl. It's originally released in 1994. It's really good, and this was a sleeper on Record Store Day. I think it was about 2 years ago, and it's a really, really good jazz record. Just modern guys that's still making music today, and I loved it, and I was really surprised that he showed it. But yeah, no, great record. Thank you, Jack. I love this record, and actually, I hadn't listened to it for a while, so I've actually had it on the turntable this week. So yeah, no, great record. Thanks, Jack.
And what he chose for me, Brandy Carlisle, A Rooster Says. So this is just that one was easy. It was 2 tracks. So she's covering Soundgarden. So she does Black Hole Sun and Searching with My Good Eye Closed. And she did really good. I really liked it. I love Brandy Carlisle, so can't go wrong there.
Had you ever heard it before?
I had not heard them. So I didn't even know she did it.
I hadn't heard it. No, I didn't.
Yes. Yeah, so they. I really like the cover of Black Hole Sun. It's really good.
It's such a great song.
Yeah.
Well, Jack picked for me another Jack Bruce. And it's the record Things We Like. And now I have a few Jack Bruce albums, post Cream. A couple of them are pretty good. A couple of them, like Bruce Wang, some of them are, yeah. So, but this one, wow, again, this was such a really awesome pick. This is very avant-garde freestyle jazz. And most of the time, Jack Bruce is playing an upright bass. And then we've got some other really great musicians on here. The saxophone player, Dick Hextall Smith, is just amazing with his horn. John Heisman does a great job. And then you got John McLaughlin playing guitar on this. And there are some licks on there that are just really, really stellar. Interesting thing about this record is that I think it was recorded in 1967 or 68, but it wasn't released until 1970. So I don't know if that's because this was a jam session where they were just having fun and had no real intent of releasing a record, or it could have been because they're all from different labels and they have different contracts, and it took a long time for them to sort out things and whatnot with that. But really, really good album. One I will definitely want to add to my collection.
Oh, I want to get that too. Then I didn't know John McLaughlin was on that. I'm a huge John McLaughlin fan. He's one of the greats of all time. I'll message you to find out exactly what it is because I won't remember.
Yeah, he chose for me Johnny Winter and I actually have the Johnny Winter and live album, but this was the studio album that preceded this. And it's basically the old guys from the McCoys, Hang On Sloopy, including Rick Derringer, and then Johnny Winter. And I had not heard the studio one, and it's definitely the what you'd expect to hear, the classic rock sound, really kind of distorted though, with just some, just cranked up a little bit and distorted guitars, distorted vocal. Everything is very centered. Like it's riding on the top of everything, so it's like everybody's like right there in front of you. And the original version of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo is on there before it was remade as a big hit by Rick Derringer. Includes the lyric, "Come on, little pussy, gonna do it to you." And that just goes ahead and gets played right on the radio. But
Thanks,
I don't
Jack.
remember if they said that in the Johnny Winter version or not. But yeah, Johnny Winter and. So, I had heard the live one a couple of times. Obviously, I have that one. But you never had heard the and one before, so it was nice to hear the studio version of that particular group. I think they only really had probably those two releases. I don't know if they had any more. I think those Johnny Winter and Edgar Winters they're like journeymen. They go around with all these different
right. That is a really good album, though. I have that as well, and that's when I thought I was going to really like Rick Derringer until I heard Rick Derringer's solo material, and I wanted to burn that.
I didn't like any of his.
I like Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo.
Yeah,
somebody say keep on rocking.
Yeah, I that's the reason I bought All American Boy, that record. Of course, this was back in the day when I couldn't listen to the whole record before buying it, but I loved that song, and then when I got the record, I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, I think there's, what is it, 21st Century Boy or something is on there. That's not too bad, but the rest of it's kind of lackluster. So we're moving on now to Guzz 69 from Brazil.
Guzz. I was glad Guzz got into this because Guzz has been a subscriber to my channel from like almost day one. He's one of like my originals, and I watch his channel all the time. I watch a lot of channels where the music that they show isn't like what it's not in my wheelhouse. Because then you get turned on to different stuff, and drink, and so that's how you learn stuff, and and that's usually what I do. He chose Ego Kill Talent. This is the band. Dance Between Extra, I believe. I might have abbreviated something there.
Extreme.
Extreme. Okay, thank you, Craig. So they're good. They're definitely not my kind of thing. They reminded me a lot of Vertical Horizon. Do you guys remember that band from?
Oh yeah,
maybe
Best I Ever Had.
Yeah, I think that was one of their hits. And I don't know if they're still around, but it sounded a lot like them, and it just reminded me of them. And it sounded very dated for me, mostly because they sounded like Vertical Horizon, which reminded me of early 2000s, I think that band was around.
Late 90s, something like that.
Yeah, and but man, I loved Vertical Horizon. That first or second album, I used to play all the time, and I remember a couple of years ago, I was like, well, I'm going to check that out, see if it's still any good, and I didn't like it. And I think Guzz might be wrong. I don't like this either. I'm sorry, Guzz. It was a good listen, but it just felt very dated. And I don't know when this record came out. I should have looked that up, but yeah, it just felt very dated to me. And that whole sound, very early 2000s, late 90s. I didn't really care for it, but can't win them all, right?
Yeah, he also picked ones. He was one of the people that did ones we would love and ones we would hate.
Yeah, I didn't even have time. I didn't have time to do the hate one.
No time for hate.
No time for hate. We also had a lot of stuff to listen to this week.
No room for hate in this state.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? They will make room in this state.
Right.
They'll make room in Craig's state. I know that. That's actually where they were saying that. Yeah, Missouri will make some room for, it's like Jell-O. They will make room for that hate.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I mean, and it's not really my state. I'm just living here.
Yeah.
If I'm claiming a state, it's Washington. Okay, so he picked Solpa. I don't know if I'm saying it right. From 1991. And I really couldn't find a lot of it. I found a music video of his where he's like on the beach and he's got like, he looks kind of like Billy Idol. And it wasn't horrible, but I could only really find like one or two songs. I couldn't find like anywhere to actually stream the album. So the couple of things that I found were okay. It was definitely like 90s rock music. And I couldn't find anything of what he said that I would hate, which Labyrinto. He played a clip on his video, and I thought that sounded kind of cool. But like I said, I couldn't really find anything. So, so I don't have a lot to share on that one just because I really couldn't find what he had suggested.
Well, I did find the one he suggested for me. It was by artist Kazuza, and I think the album name is Burguesa. And this was a decent hard rock album, but very 80s production. The songs were very much like, in many of them, not all of them, but many of them like hair metal bands of the era, which I didn't really listen to that much. It had, it piqued my interest, but the key issue with me with this was the language barrier. I could tell he was singing stories, that, it wasn't just, it just wasn't some kind of like, pop song in Portuguese. And so I couldn't really couldn't really connect with it. The musical style to me wasn't all that. As I say, it was like typical hair band, hair metal. Some of the guitar work was very Joe Satriani style, kind of, really crazy stuff that was kind of out there. But if I knew what he was singing about, I might have some more interest in it. There were a couple songs, or actually three songs that I really liked, despite the language barrier, because it was the way he was singing them and also the musical production of the songs. One was called Perto do Fogo, and then there was one called Por Case Segundo. And then this last one, Cobaías de Dias, had a very Leonard Cohen feel to it. Those three songs I did really like, but by and large, I just wish I knew what he was singing about, because musical wise, it didn't catch me.
So he also did hate ones too. The one he picked.
Oh, he did give me a hate one, and I do hate it. Wow. It's one of those speed metal bands where the vocals sound like the guy's having his throat. I hate that.
So he thought I would love Secos and Mojados, which the cover of the album, as everyone else is seeing now, is a bunch of what would look like severed heads on a table, on a banquet table, and they wear makeup and everything, and it's from 1973, so it's right before Kiss would have come out. But so I'm thinking more of like a Kiss type of band, like a hard rock thing. So I got really, anxious to hear this, but it's not. It's more like a pop like TV variety show type of sound of the 70s. It's more like a Tony Orlando and Dawn kind of ABBA, not really ABBA though. But the cover of the album does not match the record within it, and he thought I would love that. I thought it was okay. It's probably not something I will revisit. The interesting thing about his choice for me is he said I would hate Sepultura, and I do not hate Sepultura. I have Sepultura CDs, so he was off base with the Sepultura. And this one especially, this is Chaos AD. This is the one that really is more mainstream. And I even have Max Calvero's, is it Calvero? His side project, Nail Bomb. So yeah, all these.
What do they sound like? What kind of music?
It's it is like an extreme metal band, but they're serious. They're not like Cannibal Corpse, which is more like a joke. The guy more bellows, and it's a full-throated scream more than the Cookie Monster voice. But it is extreme. I don't know. Some people would call it death metal or whatever, but
okay.
It's thrash, really hard metal, but serious and political. And I think probably one of the only groups from Brazil that I was familiar with. They had a song. I think it's on here called. Biotech is Godzilla, where they basically accuse the government of starting AIDS. So that was one of the things that was like, damn, there's no American music quite like this. So I was always turned on by Sepultura. I was surprised that he thought that I would hate that, but no, I like all kinds of harder metal. I don't like the Cookie Monster voices on other stuff, and I'm not a fan of Cannibal Corpse is just kind of silly. With the artwork and the woo, 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 woo voice and all that. But yeah, that's and it's funny because Dave Mustaine from Megadeth is the one that coined the term Cookie Monster voice. And it's like, dude, you got a little Cookie Monster going on too, so I don't really know what the hell you're talking about. But we are up to the Surface Spins now, who just did the love.
Yeah.
No hate.
Surface Spins. It suggested the Sundays for me, which we just reviewed a Sundays record. I wish we had reviewed this Sundays record. I like it a whole lot more than the one we reviewed. I didn't mind that Sundays record that we reviewed. What was it called, Craig?
The one we reviewed was Static and Silence.
Static,
and
yes.
It's reading.
And this is their debut, right?
This is their debut, yes.
This was a big record too. I remember I remembered a lot of these songs. I really like this record. Yeah, I definitely. It's am I a huge Sundays fan? No. I do enjoy her vocals. I think her vocals sound a lot better on this one. I just think this album has a little more of a raw sound. The one we reviewed was a little overproduced, and you can see our review, but yeah, I really I like this record. I hadn't heard it in a very long time, but yeah, the Sundays debut record,
and it has "I Kicked a Boy" on it.
Yeah, yep. A 30-year-old woman singing a song about kicking a boy.
She wasn't 30 then. The album came out in like 89. So shush it.
29 years old then.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? I am almost 50 and I'll sing about kicking a damn boy in the fucking nuts or whatever. Piss me off.
That's like a YouTube video. Can you imagine? 29-year-old woman kicks boy.
All right. Probably not I wouldn't actually kick a child boy, but shut it.
I might.
I think that's what she's singing about. I kicked a boy and I liked it.
Yeah, that's Katy Perry.
Oh,
okay. Sheesh. He said Montrose for me from 1960.
Yeah.
If you can continue, I'm just showing the album so everybody can see what
really don't know.
I think he froze.
Oh. I did. I'm frozen because so the music was actually I listened to it twice and the music was good. I'm so sorry, but I cannot stand Sammy Hagar's voice. I can't.
Well, there's no Harriet Wheeler.
Oh, then you're not gonna.
He is no Harriet Wheeler. I don't know why. I've never. I think the only song I can stand by him, and it's a terrible song that probably you all would be like, that's the one song you like, is the I Can't Drive 55, and it's not. I don't even really like it. It's the one I can handle.
That's a great song. Especially the beginning with the drums.
Yeah,
just takes right off.
I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's his perm.
It's pretty simplistic.
I don't know. There's just something about him. I was excited because I'd never heard of them. And I really was excited to listen to it, but
I loved it when I was 16, but
there's just something about him. So maybe,
I love this.
People make fun of the Orleans cover, but nobody makes fun of that.
Right?
I love clothes on too.
That's pretty.
When I was in high school, I used to play this record all the damn time. I love this record. I loved Ronnie Montrose and
this is one of the best rock albums ever. I mean, every single track on here. There's not a bad song on here.
Yeah.
But I suggested in one of my videos, one of my latest videos, that if you're going to listen to this, you should have your cock out.
I know, and I did not.
That's why you didn't like it.
All right. So after this, I will play it again, and I will rock out with my cock out, and we'll see.
And we'll see.
That makes
and not naked either, just your cock. There's a difference. It's just
tune in next week when Craig tells us
when I review it again. Listening,
and then you can pull the inside of your pockets out, and then you can be an elephant.
Right, yeah, you remember that. Okay, on that note, wait a minute, Richard's next. That's one of the best albums of all time, by the way.
I'm so sorry.
My pick was Laura Nero, and the record is Eli and the 13th Confession. It's a long record. I think it's a double album.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this record. I liked it. Her voice kind of reminded me a lot of Carole King. This was recorded in 1968, but she's got some, to me, a little bit of gravitas of maybe Karen Carpenter, and then she sings in Jim Croce's style, in a way, the way the cadence of her voice. The thing is, you probably have heard most of her songs sung by somebody else.
Yeah,
a lot of people covered her songs, and I guess that really annoyed her. But overall, I enjoyed the album. So whether I will go out and find it, I don't know.
You can find it for $1.
Listening to it online, through YouTube, you don't get the range, the dynamic depth that you might get on an actual record. And at first I thought it was like an 80s record because it sounded like 80s production, but then I realized it was from 68. So maybe it'll sound better on vinyl because, the songs weren't all that bad. They were all pretty good. I liked it pretty much all the way through.
So this is terrible. I had heard of Laura Nero, but I'd never actually heard her before. But I actually had 2 records of her in my collection because they're, nobody wants these, or 50 cents, take the whole box. So, there's a couple in here. This hasn't been reissued or anything. Nobody cares. But yeah, she has just got the worst voice. It's kind of like a folky woman trying to be gutsy and bluesy. And no, doesn't work for me at all. And her songs that she writes for other people, like, think of Three Dog Night, okay? Think of their hit singles. What are the worst ones? Those are the ones she wrote. Same thing with The Fifth Dimension. She's the one that gave them Up, Up, and Away and My Beautiful Balloon.
Best song ever.
Now that's some folk.
That is the best song.
Laura Nero, ladies and gentlemen.
That is
My Beautiful Balloon.
She
was also David Geffen's muse. He discovered her and
right.
helped her entire career, and he was devastated when she passed away. People say he was never the same.
Got her out of a shitty record contract with the first record company she was with.
Verve, right? Vanguard?
I think so.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah, that came out of one of those. How much you want for the whole box back in the 90s garage sale? Oh, you can, $1 a piece, or you can have the whole box for $15. Oh, okay.
Well, like I said, she's not very well known. Most people probably know her songs because they were sung by somebody else.
That's what I'd always seen her name. I never knew what she sounded like, and I'm like, oh my god, I actually have this, and I'm like, yeah, okay, well now I know what she sounds like. The Surface Spin suggested The Laws, self-titled CD for me from 1990, and said I would like that because I like the Beatles. I like some of the music on there. I did not care for the guy's vocals at all. The Laws are probably best known for the song There She Goes. But that song was remade by somebody, and the popular version is the cover, and I can't remember who did the cover.
Sixpence None the Richer.
Oh, isn't that...
Sixpence None the Richer?
They did There She Goes, yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know it was them, but it's
There She Goes.
There She Goes.
I remember the Laws version.
But the guy's vocals is kind of a nerdy kind of wow, there she goes. I can't do it, but it's not pleasant.
No.
I did not. It was okay. I like the music. I did like the music of The Laws.
I've never heard of them.
Thank you, The Surface Spins, for allowing me to be negative about Laura Nero, because people love it when I'm bitching about stuff, as I've learned.
It brings in views.
Craig's going to take his cock out for another listen of Montrose, so thank you for that.
Yes, so there, yes. Mm-hmm.
Good time.
And we're moving on to Christian Osorio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christian. Another guy who's been a viewer of my channel since the very beginning. I could not find any of this band. I looked, I couldn't find anything. Christian, if you have a link, put it in the comments below. I will gladly go and check them out. I'm always looking to hear new music from different countries and stuff. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, the band was Disneyland After Dark, or in the U.S. known as DAD.
Yeah.
And I think Craig listened to the album that had their big hit on it.
Yeah, I listened to the one from 1989, No Fuel Left for the Pilgrims.
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
And what was I can't even remember the name of the song now, but it just sounded like all the hair rock bands.
Sleeping My Day Away was the
big, that one. The video was lovely, too.
Now, aren't all their albums a little bit different, or kind of?
Yeah,
well, it seems like they did the type of thing where a lot of these, but they start off a punkish band, which is the one Richard listened to, and then they go with the hair band thing, which is the one Craig listened to, and then here comes alternative music. Well, we don't want to be out of style, so now we're going to be kind of hard alternative, which is the one I listened to, and then they get old. And it's like, well, we're just going to play basic rock, which was the one that Mike had to listen to.
Old and basic.
Yes.
Like us all.
Me.
But yeah.
Oh, is that it, Craig?
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I listened to the punk one. That was their debut, and that's when they called themselves Disneyland After Dark until Disneyland said, no, you can't do that. And then they became known as DAD. And the album is Call of the Wild. And I like this. I really like this. It kind of sounds like if Jello Biafra and the Meat Puppets got together to do a record. It was good stuff. The song Trucker, the riff on that song though sounded like they were ripping off Donna Summer's I Feel Love, except it was on meth. It was that kind of a riff that was just really going with it. But overall, I really liked that record. Just by the description of the others, I probably would not like the other ones. But I would track down Call of the Wild, and I would pick that up.
The one I had was Simpatico, and that was like the harder alternative one from the 90s. I had to assemble my own playlist because I couldn't find the album, so I had to find the individual tracks and listen to it that way. And some of them were in better quality than others, but it sounded very typical of the time. Sort of like Craig said, it's just how his was very typical of the hair band kind of. This was very typical of the harder alternative, whatever. There were a couple of decent songs, but nothing really kind of stood out. But I was interested to catch up with those guys. I remember playing "Sleeping My Day Away" in college and didn't really know that much about them outside of that. I knew that they were called Disneyland After Dark, and then they had to change it to DAD. But that's really the only thing I knew about them. So it was interesting to know that they went the whole. They started off punk. They went to the whole. They kind of followed the trends. That was kind of interesting. So we're moving on to Marsha P, who made her very first video because of this contest, and now she's up to like video number 3 or 4.
I think so. Yeah, 3. She's doing fantastic.
She's rocking these videos. She's a natural. Yeah. She's an absolute natural. Yeah. She suggested for me one of my favorite bands, The, and the album Dusk. And I have all of The's records. I do not have Dusk. I don't think it's ever been out on vinyl. I'm pretty sure it's only on CD. If it is on vinyl, it's probably way too expensive. But I love The Infected. I love Soul Mining. What's the other one? Mind Bomb, which I was just listening to the other day. Absolutely fantastic band. One of my favorites. I got to see them live a couple of months ago. Well, no, it's probably been a year now. They did a little comeback tour of like 12 cities, 12 shows in 12 cities. And luckily they're here in Chicago at the Riviera, and absolutely wonderful show. My partner absolutely hated it. He spent the entire show outside smoking. But I loved it. I love the and I love the Dusk. I wish it would be out on vinyl. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is, but the last time I looked, it's impossible to find. But I love it. She also suggested Bauhaus. I forget which record, but it was one that I didn't have. And I also didn't have time to check it out, but I love Bauhaus too. So yeah, Marsha nailed it.
She did the hate stuff too. She did love and hate.
Oh, maybe she thought I would hate.
No, she thought you would hate the Soul Christmas.
Oh, that's right, Christmas.
That's right. Yeah,
Christmas
that's right.
But she knew you would hate it.
She was 100% correct on that.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I don't even need to listen to that.
I saw that in the 90s, in 94, they opened for NXS.
Oh wow.
And nobody enjoyed them. I don't want to say they got booed off the stage, but the crowd wasn't nice. At that time, I'd never heard anything by them.
Oh my God, I love them.
So it wasn't my jam at the time, but I enjoy them differently than I did back then. But there's a lot of movies that are like that for me now.
Definitely.
Now I like them, but the Soul Mining, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Soul Mining. That's the big one.
That's a really good one. I've been looking for that one. But so she chose for me Holly and the Italians, The Right to Be Italian. I could probably have found the whole album on YouTube. I just didn't have time to search because I had to either listen to my car or listen while I was getting ready in the morning, like streaming. So the only thing I could find, they had, because like Mike, I use Apple Music because I know.
It's not good.
But all they had was the single for Tell That Girl to Shut Up, which I don't know if their cover of Chapel of Love is on the album, but it's a very interesting version of Going to the Chapel and We're Gonna Get Married, like a punk version of it. I knew the song Tell That Girl to Shut Up, but I knew Transvision Vamps version of it. So I didn't even know that was cover, and now I do. I'm actually looking for it though, because from just the little bit that I've heard of them, I like them, and I want to see if I can find this. I found it on Discogs, but they just haven't, made the plunge yet. But that's probably one that I will add to my collection. And then my hate was Bruce Springsteen's "Tunnel of Love." Truth. Because
I don't hate that album, but I don't really like it either.
It's not.
I don't hate it, but it's definitely no Born to Run or Born in the USA or Asbury Park or
Asbury Park. Yeah.
But it's also no Lucky Town, so it's a more kind of a mature type. I like the fact that he's not trying to sound younger. He's trying to sound his age.
Is this the follow-up to Nebraska?
This is the follow-up to Born in the USA. Well, actually, this is the follow-up to the big box set that came out after Born in the USA. There was the live box set, and then this is 87.
Okay.
So...
Yeah,
not good.
I've never been a fan of Bruce Springsteen, ever.
His voice on this, it's very affected, and I think he's too seasoned for that, at this point, where he sounds like he's from the country, and everybody knows he's from New Jersey, but still he's got this kind of, hey, mister, and me and her were up all the Ferris wheel. It's like...
I love your impersonations.
I want to be...
Wow, that was good.
People from New Jersey don't talk like that, though, right? No. I mean, so I never really did get that, why he did that, but...
No, watch Goodfellas. They don't talk like that.
I do like the song Spare Parts. I like a lot of the lyrics more than I like how they're performed. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, good lyric writer. Well, for me, Marsha picked Sensational Guitars of Dan and Dale, Batman and Robin. And she was right. This is a fun album. I mean, this is the kind of album, if you're having a little not necessarily a house party, but you've got some people over, you can throw it on. It's just really fun, very surf rock, very garage rock sound. The weird thing is it's Sun Ra, and most of the people who are playing on this were people who played with Sun Ra. He's playing Hammond organ, and it don't sound like Sun Ra, like you would think Sun Ra sounds.
Yeah.
It was a really fun album. I started looking for it, and then I thought, oh, well, this shouldn't be that hard to find, and it shouldn't be that expensive. Oh, well, was I wrong about that? To get a very good or VG plus, we're talking about this like 1968 or even 63 or something like that. Might be 63. They're asking $40-$50 for it. Sometimes they're asking almost that much for something that's just rated G. But it's something that if I see it for a good deal, this was just like she said, it's a fun album, crazy artwork on the cover, and to think that the players on this, I mean, we're talking about some serious. At least, in my mind, some fairly serious jazz musicians who are very avant-garde. They're way out there. And then they're playing this very, formulaic surf rock kind of stuff.
So who are the guitarists on it?
Of course, you're going to ask me that, and I don't have that stuff written down.
I'm not positive, but I think I might have that record sitting in Arizona. So if it is, it's yours, Richard. I'm not 100%, but I'm about 60% sure that it's sitting there. So if it is, it's yours.
That's great.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Now I don't remember what she picked for my hate. But just
Royal Crown Review.
Oh yeah, that kind of like the retro lounge music thing that.
Oh, the swing.
Swing, like with the guy with the detective-looking guy on the front. Yeah.
I should probably give that a listen, but I didn't because she and two others, provided hates, and so I just kind of, ignored them for the most part. and Guzz played a snippet of the one that he said I would hate. And when I heard that snippet in his video, I was like, yeah, I'm going to hate this. So I didn't need
I'm the only one that did this assignment. She chose.
It was a lot of homework, Robert.
Yes, it was.
And some of us are lackadaisical.
I actually got the one she chose for me. I ended up getting it. The Kinks and Lola versus Power Man and the Money Go Round Part 1. And as I mentioned in my latest video, you never want to call something Volume 1 or Part 1 unless you have a Volume 2 or Part 2 right there ready to go, or there will never be a Volume 1 or Part 2. Here's another case in point. But yeah, this is obviously something I had heard of, something I always... It was like she's reading my mind, and that happened with another person on here that's coming later. This is another one that this is one that I always meant to listen to, but just never got around to. And Schoolboys in Disgrace, I've still never heard that. There's a couple of other Kinks albums that I've never heard. I grew up with the Kinks Chronicles and listened to that over and over again, so I don't know why I never really got more into their normal studio albums outside of that compilation. But yeah, this is great. I figured it would be. It's not awesome, but it's I still really like this and liked it enough to get it. And this is the 50th anniversary one with the gatefold, and it's got a nice booklet in here and all kinds of cool stuff.
That's the one I have too.
All kinds of color pictures and things. But this is an early... we were talking about the Kinks Misfits album before, and I had said, he's whining again about being a rock star. And this is kind of where a lot of that's going on to begin with. So to think that he's still doing that, almost 10 years later, 7 years later, that was kind of my point. It's like, okay, we get it. And that's what this is. This is basically half a concept album about all the tribulations of being in the music business. And, oh my God, they won all the money, and I got to deal with the union, and I got to get on the charts, and all this kind of stuff. A lot of it played now kind of sounds a little bit naive, because we've gone so far from all of that. I mean, if this person, if Ray Davis could see what the music business has turned into now, it would just be, I think he would just fall over. But yeah, I mean, so it is kind of... It's fun to hear I'm saying 1970 Ray Davies could see that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's kind of naive to listen to this and think, wow, you just wait to see what the hell's coming up if you think it's bad that you got to give, 10% to the manager or whatever and all this kind of stuff. But the second side is where it really starts to pick up. And because it's more individual tracks, they kind of ditch a lot of the concept. You have Lola on here, of course. Ape Man is on here. I really liked This Time Tomorrow. I really liked the other Rats. There's two Dave Davis songs on here. Rats is one of them. I really like that. I really like the song Power Man. It gets a little more rock oriented on the second side, and like I said, a little more individual tracks that sound a little more fully realized than the first side, which is mostly going with this concept of continuously talking about the music industry and being on the charts and putting out records and being a rock star. So yeah, I'm glad she suggested that. As for the one she said I would hate, it was Victoria Williams and Happy Come Home. And she's another person that I always meant to hear her, because the first time I ever heard that name was a CD called Sweet Relief, benefit for Victoria Williams. And I never really knew who she was, but that CD was huge in like 93 and when I was in college. And one of the reasons it was so huge is because it had a Pearl Jam on it, with a song called Crazy Mary. Victoria Williams wrote all the songs on it, and it's all these groups, like Buffalo Tom is on there, Lou Reed is on there, the Lemonheads are on there with the song Summer of Drugs, which was actually a radio single. She wrote that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, she wrote Change the Locks from Tom Petty, that Tom Petty did later on too.
Really?
So songwriter, her voice has this real shaky kind of vibrato, and it takes a little bit getting used to. I didn't exactly love it, but I didn't hate it. And I definitely liked it more than some of the other things that other people said I would love. So I did not hate Victoria Williams. It actually coming out in 1989, I think. Sounded a little ahead of its time.
Mm.
It sounded more like an early 90s release, but I did not hate it. I just thought it was pretty good. It was not, like I said, blowing me away, but it wasn't awful. So another person that got the hate wrong. Somebody will get the hate. Somebody will nail the hate coming up with me. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Nail it.
Somebody's about to nail the hate with me too.
Yeah. So that moves us on to Shane.
Yeah, Shane.
And speaking of nailing hate, I think Shane just put down basically a Peter Cetera record. Or
Yeah.
I'm just going with anything by Peter Cetera. He is a piece of garbage. I cannot stand Peter Cetera. He ruined Chicago. Terry Kath dying ruined Chicago. But
it was David Foster that ruined Chicago.
Also, yeah. But his best friend was Peter Cetera. I hate Peter Cetera. I hate his vocals. I hate all this. Yeah.
And what's with that face?
Thanks. Right. What's with his face? He's got a jerk face. Seriously, you just want to punch him for no reason.
What is the single from Solitude? Is it Solitude?
Oh God! Well, that song was actually a single.
I remember that.
Here, I'll look it up real quick because
I was going to say I'll look it up.
He did a song with Amy Grant too, didn't he?
Oh,
Next Time I Fall in Love, is that
there
it?
You go.
Yeah. Glory of Love.
Glory of Love from the Karate Kid 2 soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We
the
did
Glory of Love.
I am the man who will fight for your honor.
I'll be the
That
hero.
sounds like Huey Lewis.
I'm gonna live
Glory of Love.
forever. Well, you're thinking of Ghostbusters.
God.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shane.
Somebody got that somewhere. Thank you.
Wait, what about the Ghostbusters?
Yeah, no, never mind.
Who am I gonna call? I don't know.
Shane just did the hate, by the way. He all hate.
He's like, I'm spreading hate. So
I've got
that's
respect
the very
for him.
first time he ever
I'm
did
good
it.
with it. It was Shane's first video, right?
Yeah.
Very well done, Shane. We're waiting for the second one. Will there be a second one?
Probably not. If we do another contest. Let's see. So he said the Soul soundtrack because it's jazzy, and John Batiste. He's right. That's, truth.
John Batiste.
I think it just, yeah. I listened to about 5 seconds of it.
Wow.
Dude, I listened to the whole CD that anyway.
It's Peter Cetera. I'm not listening to him.
It sounded like you just said penis Cetera.
I also did say that.
Is that all you got to say, Craig?
Yeah. I love you, Shane.
Love you, Shane.
Shane said that I would
Done with Sergio. Oh, that was Jane.
Yeah, Jane says that, not Shane. He could if you'd ask him nicely. But.
Well, Shane recommended, or not recommended, he said I would hate Aphex Twin, the selected ambient works. Well, Shane, I love this album.
And you had just shown it in a video, right?
You're right. And I really like Aphex Twins. Aphex Twin, not twins.
Twin.
Yeah. I like this, so sorry.
Awesome.
That was a miss.
He said that I would hate this shit called Messiah, 21st Century Jesus, and he is absolutely correct. This is like it's like industrial 90s stuff. When you work in radio, you have these libraries of music beds that you can use, and they're called things like, sad day or fun time or country or hard rock. It's either a genre or it's a feeling. And basically you have like songs on there, very generic sounding, usually, instrumentals, obviously, because they're made to go under someone talking in a commercial or a promo or something. This is the music you use. And there's usually a 2.5-minute version, then there's a 60-second version of the song, then there's a 30-second version, so you don't have to edit it and all that kind of stuff. And there's also ones like this that are like, I think this one was called Cyber something, and it's industrial, it was the 90s or whatever, and that's exactly what this reminds me of. It's so generic and so cliched. It's like every cliche in the book thrown in. It's like, let's take the Lords of Acid and KMFDM and remove anything interesting, any kind of identity, and just leave just nothing but the most generic cliche. Let's go! It sounds just like one of those radio background. It's horrible to think that somebody would actually put that out as an album.
Was actually in it.
Well done, Shane.
There you go.
Um,
They are called Messiah. The CD was 21st Century Jesus. I don't think it's ever been released on a record. I don't know why it would.
it has,
They do a version of Donna Summer's I Feel Love that actually...
That's twice we've mentioned Donna Summer's I Feel Love tonight.
It sounds more dated than Donna Summer's version from like 20 years before. Because hers has this kind of timeless sound, you know? It always sounds like it's in the future no matter when you hear it. This one just screams like, oh, this is Billy Idol's Cyberpunk, bonus disc. Oh my God. It's just absolutely horrendous. So Shane absolutely nailed it.
He did a good job for you.
I think he did. He was right up there with Marsha P and Chris from Record Talk, suggesting what I would like. His hate for me was on par with that.
That's what we want.
I guess obviously I didn't hate Sepultura. I didn't really hate Victoria Williams, but did not like that Messiah at all. Because I like decent, music.
We've just got a couple left now, right?
Yeah, we're winding.
We have 4 left.
Probably four or 5?
4 left, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I see the
We're up to Rachel's Ghost.
Rachel.
All right.
So Rachel did a twist on the contest. She picked her favorite band and picked an album that would represent each of us. She picked my favorite Wings record, which is Venus and Mars.
So she picked the Beatles, and each one of us represents one of the Beatles.
Exactly. Yes. She picked. I don't know why. Oh, what was her reason for picking me? She thought I was jovial and friendly or something like that. And I am.
That would be Ringo.
Yeah.
But
damn it.
Anyway.
But my favorite.
I have
Wings
this
record.
too. I just didn't.
This is my favorite Wings record. This is my copy from high school. It still has like the hype sticker on it. I've had this record forever. I absolutely love it.
Me too.
Definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
I love this record. I think it's better than Band on the Run. I just love it. The posters and stickers.
I like
are
Band
long
on the
the
Run
posters.
better.
I get that. Yeah, I mean,
I do too, but I think this is a
probably
nice.
better
This is a close
record,
second.
But I think this one sounds better.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely produced better. My stickers and posters and all that crap that came with this are long gone. So I also bought the reissue, which I got all the stickers and posters. I'm not going to pull it out. I think this is on colored because I usually listen to the other copy. Yeah, it's on colored vinyl.
Oh, fancy.
Oh, Richards is gonna. Yeah, there you go, Robert. Yeah. I had those posters on my wall throughout high school. I love those posters. But definitely my favorite Wings record. I'm pretty critical of Paul McCartney's solo work after Wings. I don't care for much of it. I
don't care for Ram either.
Ram has never been. I think there's a lot of revisionist history on Ram. Everyone suddenly it's like his best record. I didn't like it back. I didn't like it back. In high school.
The first two.
I'm still a little off on it.
Band on the Run and Venus and Mars. To me, that's it. Everything else that came after to me was like.
Because this is a serious album, and so is Band on the Run. It doesn't have all that goofy ass silliness on there that he does. Like
there's some
I just listened to
songs
Ram. That's why I brought up Ram, because I just listened to that not too long ago. Because Paul from As It Should Be channel, which we always bring up, we always make a point because we steal their ideas. He just did an album track by track where he compared all the songs on Paul McCartney's Ram to all the songs on Badfinger Straight Up. And it's like the songs like 3 legs and my dog got 3 legs and yours got none. It's just stupid. I mean, you're Paul McCartney. You're better than that. It's like, and that fucking awful, what is that? The song about Smile Away has got to be one of the dumbest songs I've ever heard. Yeah. I could smell your breath a mile away. Smile away, smile away. It reminds me of that movie Little Man Tate, if anybody's ever seen that. With the child genius, where he gets tired of being. He gets tired of being a child genius, so he writes this stupid ass poem about clipper ships that's like way under his ability, and that's what those songs remind me of when I hear Paul McCartney albums that are just. She liked her biker like an icon, but the biker didn't like her. Dude, stop.
No, but every one of his solo records has a couple of songs that are absolutely phenomenal, and But man, a lot of this crap is just, there's a lot. Well, don't get me into.
So it's always a good live show. It's always a good live show because he's always got some good songs to pull.
Yeah, he doesn't do those goofy songs at live usually.
And this is a great record. You gave me the answer. Magneto and Titanium Man. Call Me Back Again. This is a medicine jar. I love this record. I absolutely love this record. And
I
Rachel
always liked the
definitely my favorite.
Listen to What the Man Said in Venus and Rock Show.
Rock Show is great. I used to listen to that like crazy. I love this record.
Letting Go. Most of the songs in here are great.
At that time, that was when the best parties that we had were usually inside a car while we were driving down the road, and we would have that music playing in the car stereo.
Well, I'm Ringo.
Oh, you're Ringo.
Yeah, you are.
Ringo.
The most important but underappreciated.
Well, yeah, thank you. Ringo's not cute, though, so I took it personally, like I'm not cute. But anyway, and I did not listen to it. I ran out of time.
But which
Ringo stars Ringo. Sorry.
This is a great album.
Right, and when Cher had sang about a Beatle that she was in love with, she sang about Ringo. So.
Ringo, yes. Okay, so Cher loves me.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, I've heard this since I was a child. This was the first solo Beatles album I ever had. And it's if you get it, make sure you get the one that has the booklet. It has this great illustrated booklet in it of all of the
I don't know if mine has that.
Lyrics, with the illustrations for each one.
Oh.
Also, fun fact, there's a mistake. You can get the mistake one or you can get the non-mistake one. What song is it?
When was that released? Like 75 or something?
73. Track 2.
73. Okay.
Your track 2 will either be called Have You Seen My Baby or it'll be called Hold On. Hold On is the correct one, but there's two different ones with the track 2. And track 2 is also mislabeled on the label. It's also on the booklet inside misdone, so the misprint is
the song is actually called Hold On?
Yeah, but it's called Hold On some of them later ones, but it's if you have You Seen My Baby, it's an earlier one.
And it's incorrect.
You're right.
Okay.
But on Discogs, it has correct. It's very confusing, but yeah.
Okay, because
mine is
probably that song. Have You Seen My Baby?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mine is Have You Seen My Baby?
But that's one of my favorite solo Beatles albums. I think the Ringo album is better than Ram.
Absolutely.
Certainly better than Paul McCartney's Ram.
Man, I remember in high school. So I would have been probably a sophomore in high school when it came out, and I just remember all those songs all the time. There were so many good ones.
And he's got a lot of talented people on here with him too. I mean, he's got all kinds of people. Levon Helm is on here. First of all, he's got all three Beatles on here at one, not together, but on different parts.
Hi, Terry.
Nicky Hopkins, Klaus Vormann, who designed the Revolver cover. Robbie Robertson is on here.
Does he have Don Preston?
Jim Feltner's on here.
John Lennon wrote one song, and George Harrison co-wrote 3 songs.
And Photograph is on here. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that was really the big song. But man, there was just so many good songs on it.
Unfortunately, he's also doing You're 16 on here, so it's a little
there we go.
Moving on.
Richard.
Okay, so Rachel picked for me George Harrison, and the album is Somewhere in England, and that was a 1981 release, and it sounds like it. It has very much a 80s production sound to it. All right, Rachel, did you just phone this in? Because I kind of feel like that was what was going on here. This is not a very strong Harrison album. The first song on the record, Blood from a Clone. So there's a mention of Frank Zappa. Is that why you recommended it? That's why I kind of feel like this was kind of phoned in. But the strongest songs to me on here, because in general, I think this is a pretty weak album of George Harrison's. But some of the strongest ones included All Those Years Ago, but it still has that 80s synthesizer kind of feel to it that kind of, I wish you could like get those out.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, I know, it was.
And that's a song about John Lennon, right?
And that's
this
about
was
John
right
Lennon,
after he
yeah.
died.
Yeah,
This came out like a few months after he passed away.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that there are some really good songs on here, meaningful songs, but yeah, the 80s production style kind of wrecks it. I think the guitar is much better on the song Life Itself.
I like
the song. I like the song Baltimore Oriole. And I like That Which I Have Lost, because that country style guitar solo that he has in it works to me really, really well. But that song Teardrops is so cringy. It sounds like Pat Benatar is dancing with Phil Collins and Billy Joel is just going crazy on the piano. It's
Peter Cetera is singing backup.
You had me until
It's beautiful.
So it's not one of my favorite Harrison albums. It's not in my collection, and I don't see it ever becoming part of my collection.
I don't have that one either. But I do have the one she chose for me. She chose John Lennon's worst album because, of course.
I don't know.
Why choose a good one? Most people don't really care for this. It's kind of an afterthought. It's John Lennon's Rock and Roll from 1975, and this is an all-covers album. This is where he does songs from the 50s and early 60s. And he doesn't.
Was this when he was separated from Yoko?
I believe so. Yeah. 75.
And Phil Spector stole the tapes.
And there's a boot. I mean, it's just he just screams his way through half the songs. He doesn't sound like he's having these songs should sound like they're. First of all, you don't do an album like this when you're John Lennon. Why would you? It's not even clever covers or whatever. It's Peggy Sue and Ready Teddy and Ain't That a Shame and Do You Want to Dance? And the only interesting thing is that he sings what is it? You Can't Catch Me from Chuck Berry, which Chuck Berry sued them for Come Together because he says, here comes old Flat Top, he comes grooving up slowly, which sounds too much like a line from Chuck Berry's You Can't Catch Me, and he sings this song and does that line. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But he's just screaming like I use this phrase all the time, but again, it just applies here. He sounds like a drunk guy. He sounds like an angry drunk. Stand By Me was the single. Stand By Me, instead of sounding like a love song or sounding like it was later on more of like a friendship song for the movie, to represent friendship, it sounds more like when he does it, it sounds like he's scolding an aloof child. Like, stand by me! No, stand by me!
Angry
it's like,
and bitter. That song comes off so angry and bitter.
That's how the whole album comes off. And it's 50 songs. Who hasn't covered these a million times in every lounge and it's just so.
But
it could be on my disappointing video, but yeah.
In terms of like going through breakups or something like that, that's a common thing. You go back for nostalgia. Maybe he was trying to go back to the Cavern Club and trying to remember, what it was like back then. Because, who knows?
Well, I don't know what he was trying to do. Maybe he should try putting out an album because he's John Lennon instead of putting out some nonsense. But,
I don't.
And it doesn't sound that good either. Sonically, it doesn't sound that good.
And it's produced by Phil Spector. I don't think that was ever originally supposed to be released. And I think they just it was forced because Phil Spector was going to release it on his own. Yeah. I don't remember the details of the whole story, but I don't think John Lennon was behind that being released.
It's
from what I remember.
Self-indulgent album.
And it could probably be like a record company wanting new material out and whatever. But thanks for suggesting that. Moving on, Crispy CD and vinyl, which is Chris Burt. He did a love and hate thing too.
Ish.
Because he didn't really do a hate for me, I think. But maybe he did.
Yeah,
I don't remember him doing a hate for me.
Yeah, he didn't do hates for Mike or Richard.
Okay,
just
that's what I thought. So he gets us. So Chris did a band called Say Sue Me, and the album was We Sobered Up. I don't know if that's I'm gonna have a drink, but This is
Sesumi.
I really, really like.
I listened to that album too, and I really liked it.
This album is from 2019, just a few years ago. Or no, it's been a while. But 2019. It has a kind of a shoegaze feel to it, but there's also a couple of songs have a surf rock guitar like vibe to it, which I am a huge fan of. I love this record. I have already ordered it, and I hope it gets here really soon so I can play it. This is probably my favorite thing. It's not a competition, but this is probably my favorite suggestion on the entire list of everyone who entered. I love this record. I've even listened to a couple of their others, and this is probably my favorite of their other stuff. But man, this is great. I absolutely love it, Chris. Really good call. I'd never heard of this band, and yeah.
Yeah, I like some South Korean music, and this was when he made the recommendation for you, I checked it out right away because I was thinking, man, I bet you I'm going to like this, and oh yeah.
I actually wrote down that Craig would like this. Craig, I think he would really like this record.
I've been going to check it out because he's mentioned it a couple times, but I have it written here, so. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And like I said, I've never heard of this band before, and I guess that's why we do this. This made this contest a success for me. It's really cool. So thanks, Chris. Fantastic.
I mean, he suggested a lot on and off for me. Well, kind of all of us, Chris, you're kind of all over the place. I appreciate you. But I was getting confused on what I was actually supposed to listen to. But, Archie Big. Plus, he's got to throw out, because he's my people, because, we're both, LDS. So, well, I was raised LDS, or Mormon, whatever you want to call it. So, of course, he starts out with the freaking I'm a Mormon record, which I actually have the cassette tape for that.
Of course he did.
I think I'm going to guess that wasn't it. He was just mentioning that. I don't think he actually...
he was just mentioning that. So that wasn't the album. So he mentioned a band called Clem Snide. And I've heard that name, but I'd never actually heard them before. The album he suggested was End of Love. This came out in 2005. And I'm digging it. The guy's voice reminds me of Adam Duritz. Is that his name from Counting Crows?
I'm sorry.
I actually like Adam, but in a different way. Like, it's not like identical. It's just their lyrics are very quirky, and there's a song called Something Beautiful that just...
Y'all want something beautiful? Man, I wish I was beautiful.
Oh, God, go...
He is talking all this stuff. There's like, I don't know what he's singing, but I want to hear it.
Okay.
Mr. Jones.
You did not. Yeah, we all want.
I ain't buying what y'all said.
I love Mr. Jones. I love the Counting Crows. This is not what we were talking about. I just mentioned that he kind of sounded like him. So hush your face, okay?
All over the world.
Anyways, the song, Something You Now. Yeah, I get it. Shut. Okay. So it's like kind of like you make me want to stumble on my pillows, skin both my knees. You make me want to smoke every cigarette that's ever been made. And you make me want to.
That sounds awful.
You make me want to break something beautiful, and I'm like, oh, that's my life story. I constantly want to break something beautiful. But I love all the ironicness of it. That song is great. There's another song called The Sound of German Hip Hop. He wakes up with the sound of German hip hop in his head. So he'd also suggested Eve Barzilay, which I guess is the lead singer of Clem Snide, the album Bitter Honey. It's a lot more acoustic. And I did not dig that as much as I did the band, so like the Clem Snide, like that was good. And then he said I would hate Saturday's Warriors, which is an LDS Mormon musical from like the 70s. I own it. I know every song. Will I wait for you?
Don't.
Yeah, Y'all don't know of it. I mean, there's a song called Daddy's Nose, and they talk about dad having a really big nose. And then there's another song, He's Just a Friend, like those I count in dozen, you know. Yeah, it's Mormon shit. But yeah.
Daddy's nose was hard to steal when I done wrong. Daddy's nose. That?
No.
Daddy's nose is white
that.
whenever he comes out of the bathroom.
Oh, no.
Hello, Helen. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I really. I'm actually. Well, actually, that End of Love album. I don't think it's affordable. So because I did look it up, but yeah. So I may try to. Yeah, but I liked it. I really dug it, especially that song, Something Beautiful.
And we all want something beautiful.
Man, I wish I were beautiful.
I think every time I see Adam Duras, don't you think he just smells funny?
Yeah, he looks like
I don't know about funny.
He just looks like he smells funky.
That's
a better
He smells like patchouli and pot, like a mixture of patchouli and pot,
and blue cheese.
No, blue cheese. Oh, or famunda cheese. Some Munda
cheese. I'm just like, oh God, you smell like cheese.
I love their first record.
Okay.
You're the one.
So
he
picked for me this band, Devochka.
And
oh wow!
Actually, the word Devochka comes from Clockwork Orange, but it's also a Russian word that it's derived from, which means girl. And so I have Russian people living in my building, and I took Russian in college. So it's Devochka. Everything goes down, from the. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's Una Volta is the record, their second one. I think I either misheard him or he misspoke, but they're from Denver. They are a Denver, Colorado band, but they do incorporate Eastern European rhythms and styles. And Una Volta is a brilliant album. It is it's only available on CD. I went looking for it today. I did buy a Devochka album, their debut album, which is called Super Melodrama. And this is really good. It's it's kind of a little, it's hard to qualify or label what they're doing, but it's really good music. And they have a song on there that's called La Llorona, which is an instrumental. It's a closing piece, and it just reminded me of the story of La Llorona from when I when I was in college in Arizona, because that is a very well-known Mexican folk tale. And it's like the weeping woman or the woman that wails or something like that. Really very cool. This is an album I'm definitely looking for. And I checked out their catalog, and everything they made is rated very strongly.
Yeah, they're cool.
And so, Devochka is very good stuff. I'm glad I picked this up today. It was only $3.
Oh yeah,
and
they are so good. I saw them. Yeah. I saw them in Seattle with the Seattle Symphony. So they did all their songs.
Well, right, because a lot of people have probably heard them before because they did the soundtrack for Little Miss Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
that's right. Yep.
And they also did the soundtrack for I Love You, Philip Morris. So
so good. And they did a cover of Susie and the Banshees, The Last Beat of My Heart. It is so, I did not think anybody could sing that song as well as Susie, but their version of that, and they have another song called I Cried Like a Silly Boy. It just makes me die. They are so good. And they were
really
phenomenal.
This is one of the best recommendations, Devochka. I am definitely going to try and get everything they've released.
I saw them live at the Pitchfork Music Festival years ago. Probably one of the first or second Pitchfork festivals they did. And they were fantastic. I'm surprised to hear they're from they're from Denver. I literally
Yeah.
thought they were from like Norway or Sweden. Yeah, no, they're a really cool band. Are they still around? I haven't heard anything new from them in years.
It's been a while since they've done anything.
Yeah.
I think
All
the last
Music
they
Guide
released
lists
was
them from being 1990s to the 2010s. So
yeah.
their last record was, well, they had a record released in 2018.
and that was that the live one though?
This Night Falls Forever. No, the live one was live with the
Was
Colorado
before.
Symphony,
Yeah.
which is like one of their top rated records.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that was
they're
yeah, it's really hard to get that.
they're a really cool,
That's
interesting
the
band.
set that they did when I saw them.
Are they
My
all
guess
on
is-
CD only?
There's a few of them that are on vinyl. The 1,000, the one that, what is the 1,000?
100 Lovers,
Yeah, that one is on vinyl.
which is looks like their weakest one in the catalog, but I bet you it's still a great
I
one.
like that.
It's so good though. That's
That's a really good record.
So thank you for that recommendation. I had never listened to Devichka before, and I like it.
Did Craig say something about German hip hop?
mean,
ein
all the
Punker in der
time.
liebt in der großen Stadt in Wien, will Vienna, will alles tat, hatten Stunden den Tag gedacht und liebt in alle Frauen und jeder rief für Come and Rock Me, Amadeus war a superstar, war so populär, war so exalted, because hatte Flair, war ein virtuoso, war ein Rocky Idol, und jeder so rief für Come and Rock Me, Amadeus. No?
That was so good.
No.
It was so good. I'm like,
Are you going to do this once an episode now? Are you
Well, where can you
Like a
take it
hip-hop
when you've
song?
done a German rap? Chris, the two Chris's, really, Chris from Record Talk and Chris from Crispy CD and Vinyl, really did a good job with me. Graham Coxon, Crow Sit on Blood Tree is what he suggested. Graham Coxon is a guy from Blur, and I had never heard of him or didn't know he did solo stuff, and it doesn't sound anything like Blur. It's really interesting. It's kind of a really all over the map as far as sounds, acoustic and then full on fuzz rock going on, distorted stuff. But it's interesting all the way through. I listened to it a couple of times. I think I'm going to go back and revisit it a few more times. Again, not on vinyl, only on CD. So I don't know if I'll actually get it. I'll probably just put the the digital album in my digital library. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I really liked it. I didn't know what to expect. Usually when somebody goes solo from a band like that, it's kind of like half-ass, kind of like, you really just would rather hear the band. But yeah, I really liked it. I was kind of surprised. And again, right out of left field, I'd never heard of this guy. I don't know any of the members of Blur's names. But I liked Blur, and he picked up on that. And we did our thing about Blur versus Oasis. And I think we all picked Blur, except one of us.
I wouldn't have.
That's what I mean.
Blur.
Blur.
See, I was right. But yeah, thanks for that. And then he did Hate for Me, which is Para Ubu, New Picnic Time, which I've heard the name Para Ubu, but never had heard anything from them. He said that their first two releases are better. This one's a bit of a disappointment. If you're a fan, you're probably going to be disappointed by this one. I hadn't heard any of them. And yeah, I didn't care for it. Didn't hate it, but it wasn't like, Messiah 21st Century Jesus, for God's sakes, literally. But Para Ubu, New Park, it was kind of a Picnic Time. It was kind of like the guy was trying too hard to be weird. I'm all about weird. I'm all about avant-garde. But if somebody's just trying too hard, it's like, no, I'm not into that. And that's kind of what it sounds like. The singer comes on with this crazy, sounding like an out-of-control David Byrne. It's like David Byrne, but on worse drugs. On more maxed out. This cat really wants out this door. Maxed out drugs.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Kitty.
Oh, I thought you were letting
yeah,
Terry
so-
back in.
Almost too over the top for me. And, well, not really over the top. Just sounded like he was trying too hard. And he's right. I did not like it. But again, didn't hate it as much as Messiah. I didn't like it as much as the other Hate, Victoria Williams. So yeah, thanks for that. The two Chris's suggested
Chris,
things that I liked that
job.
I'd never really heard of before, and then
good.
Well, we'll get to what I was going to say about the other two after when it's my turn again. I almost gave it away.
Who's next?
BB is next.
We got BB. BB.
We've got one more after that, and then we draw the winner.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to draw the winner. BB pretty much nailed it. I love magazine. She suggested magazine Secondhand Daylight, which I do not own on vinyl. I have their first record on vinyl. I like magazine. They're kind of a post-punk, punky band. I really like them. This is a terrific record. I've heard it many, many, many times, and yeah, I absolutely love it. Cool band. Really cool band. That's all I got.
He also suggested Bauhaus.
Well, we are at the hour and a half mark, so yeah.
Okay, so for me, the Birthday Party, Prayer and Fire from 1981. I had not heard them before, and it reminds me a lot of like a couple of Press and maybe even some Bauhaus a little bit. I only had enough time to listen to it once, but I liked it, so I want to go back and listen to it a few more times. And she also did the version Prunes, If I Die, I Die from 1982. And I was gonna go through my storage and see if I can find it, but I actually have a mixtape that my friends made me that introduced me to the Virgin Prunes, and it's got If I Die, I Die on one side, and then it's got The Legendary, which is a Wolfgang Press album on the second side. So it had been a really long time since I'd heard that album, and I forgot how wonderful the song Walls of Jericho was, and it's recently been reissued, so I'm actually going to try to get that because I do love me some Virgin Prunes. And Birthday Party, I don't know that they're
isn't that Nick Cave? The Birthday Party, I believe that's Nick Cave, his first band.
I think she mentioned that's who that was. But yeah, no, I like I said, I need to go back and listen to it again. But from the first listen, I listened to it like 1.5 times, but I need to go back and actually pay attention to it. But I liked it, and it's definitely something that I think I would enjoy. And yeah, I just love the Virgin Prunes.
There's a documentary about them. I forget what it's called. It's on streaming somewhere about the Birthday Party.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mike, you just mentioned Nick Cave, and for the very first time last night, I listened to a Nick Cave album. And really,
which one?
It's, I can't remember the name of the album, but it's the one with the big red hand.
Yeah.
That's System of a Down, man.
That's
you need to listen to Nick Cave.
What an amazing album! I was like,
yeah, he's interesting. I don't like everything he does, but man, when I some of his albums just resonate with me, but then he'll release one like 2 years later, and I'll be like, this sucks. But he's just one of those artists, and I
think that's been my reaction. That I've heard some of the other stuff, but I played this other one the other night, and wow. Anyway,
cool.
Yeah, BB had 2 recommendations for me, and I'm gonna say, someone else said it's not a competition, but these were the best recommendations for me. Awesome. One being Echo and the Bunnymen, their debut Crocodiles. And I agree with her. She was saying that Echo and the Bunnymen's later stuff she was not very impressed with, and I think that's kind of what I heard, so they never really interested me. And then I listened to their debut Crocodiles, and I was like, wow, this is really good. This is definitely a record that I want to get. And then it's not
the band you would think you were getting.
Right.
It's so different. It's so different. Yeah.
Right. It's not at all like their later work.
Yep.
And then the other one was a band I'd never heard of called The Sound, and the song was Jeopardy. And the album was Jeopardy, excuse me. And they were a band that sort of came out at a good time and a bad time, because they're very much right in the middle between Joy Division and Echo and the Bunnymen in terms of what they're doing. And the album Jeopardy is, again, just an amazing album. And I'd never even heard of the sound before. And they kind of were, because they were, what I was reading, because they were between Echo and the Bunnymen and Joy Division, they kind of got overlooked quite a bit, at least especially in the United States and some other areas. They were I think a bigger hit, but still not as big as they probably should have been in Britain. But yeah, I want to find this album by the sound.
I have a copy of it. They are really, really cool.
Yeah, it's just blew me away. Thank you, BB, for those, because those were great recommendations.
I was going to say, when I was talking about the two Chris's, they recommended things I wasn't familiar with at all, but I was going to say that, and then Marsha and BB both recommended people that I was familiar with, but it was like they read my mind, because they both recommended things that I always meant to get around to listening to, but just never did for whatever reason. And BB recommended Susie and the Banshees, both Kaleidoscope and Juju, which I have.
Juju.
I have their first album, The Scream. I've had that since the 90s. And then I have a bunch of their singles from later on, like Kiss Them For Me and Peekaboo and things like that. Fear of the Unknown, I think, is another one. But always missed the middle part, so I've got to fill that in thanks to her suggestions. But yeah, Kaleidoscope, I thought, there's a song on there called Hybrid, and I thought that kind of described the album. They seem like they're in a transition during that album, because a lot of it is this really hard snare drumming that I really like the sound of that. And then it goes right into this drum machine, like, synth stuff. So it's like two different complete sounds going on in the same album. But yeah, I really liked Kaleidoscope for that reason. I thought it was a little too sparse in places. I keep saying sparse in places where it could have had a little more going on.
Have you had a flat tire recently?
Yeah, I needed a spare. Two flat tires, spares. But she kind of sounds the same throughout the albums. So I think there needs to be more that complements her, because she doesn't really get too adventurous with the vocals. And I thought that was the thing. I wish there would have been more on a Kaleidoscope, and then I heard Juju, and there was. But Juju doesn't have that hard snare sound. So I like both of them for different reasons. But I like the fullness of the Juju album. I like that there was a little more Juju going on in the songs. But I really am glad that I got to finally hear those two. I don't know if I would have ever get the albums, because they're not cheap. I don't know if there's reissues or not, but those two especially are not.
There's been reissues for all of them, I believe, but those are actually even hard to find now.
Yeah, right, that's what I mean. It's like I've never seen either of these two albums anywhere.
Yeah,
they are not the kind of thing that just pop up, So
I got lucky. I got these when nobody was buying records, and I paid under $5 for both of them.
Right? Yeah. If I could go back in time and go to a record store for like an hour in 1999 or something, I mean,
it was really,
walk out of there with the store.
I got lucky because the day that I walked into the record store, somebody had just sold their Susie collection, so I got most of them. But yeah, the guy was selling them for like $5.
But yeah, these two are not quite as hard, angry as the Scream, but they're definitely not as pop, alternative, lush sounding as the later singles. So it's a nice in between.
And if you want to hear like her full range kind of change and like her styling and everything, check out her solo band, The Creatures. I love The Creatures, and they made quite a few records, and I like The Creatures better than the Banshees. I love them. It's more.
They've got a really good compilation too.
There's a lot more percussion, and she's just all over there, and it's so good. I love The Creatures.
And that's before Susie and the Banshees.
It's kind of during and
after.
She did it with Budgie, right?
Yeah,
Another member of Susie and the Banshees. It was kind of their side project.
He was in the Slits too.
Their stuff is really hard to find on vinyl as well.
Oh, it's impossible. I have
I have Boomerang. That's the only one I have.
The next time we do this, we need a rule. All the suggestions need to be on record, on Discogs for under $5 median price. How about that challenge? We'll end up with like one video entry.
Yeah, one is the loneliest number. Wow.
Steve Winwood's Roll With It. I think you guys would really like that.
45.
Just trying to think of Bay City Rollers dedication album. You guys would really like that for $2.
Today I saw probably the Butthole Surfers' worst rated album. It's still a good album, but it's Electric Larryland, and it was an OG copy that was for sale in the store. $100.
Yeah, I have the CD.
Wow. If we ever do a contest, we could narrow it down like our favorite dollar bin finds,
right?
Something like that. That'd be fun. If we ever do a contest again.
Yeah.
Or just a video of our favorite dollar bin finds.
We could do that.
Yeah.
So we are doing. This is a contest, and we will get to the winner of the $40 Amazon gift card.
We've got one more person left, right?
Yeah,
that is Jake Perks.
Jack.
Yep.
Jack.
Well, he called me Frippin'. So
yes,
he is Jake Perks.
Touche.
And his channel is Flaming Groove Listens. Not when I say my name, but listens to everything else.
Oh yes,
Jake.
That's a good way to clean your records. Set them on fire.
So Jack, he suggested a woman named Carolyn Wonderland and her album Tempting Fate, and I'd never heard of this woman before. It's a great album cover of her with a guitar and another instrument, which I'm not really sure what it was. It is, and when we did the review, Craig, what did we do? Big Mama Thornton reviewed. Yeah. And I think I said in that video that I like my blues music to have screeching guitars. And I love Big Mama Thornton. She was great, but I want more like grit. And I love blues guitarists, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Albert King, and people like that. And this woman can play some damn guitar. She is awesome. It's not blues, it's not country, and it's kind of what I heard this term years and years ago. I think it was I forget who described. It might have been, I don't know. I don't remember who the artist was, but it's swamp music. It's that gritty. It's not country. It's
Leonard
not
Skinner
blues,
has a song called Swamp Music.
I don't like those. But this is just like dirty, like.
Is she the one who plays the upside down guitar that has the bass string at the bottom?
That's what she's holding on the cover. I was like, what instrument?
Because nobody would teach her how to play guitar. Yeah. And she's amazing.
She's absolutely a fantastic guitarist. Now, is it something I normally would buy? It's not my type of music, but man, it's really good. I would probably, if I stumbled across this record in a record store, I would pick it up. I'm not going to run out and buy it, but she's a smoking guitarist. She is really, really good. Like I said, it's got country tinges. It's got that New Orleans feel to it a little bit, and it's totally blues. But man, she's awesome. Carolyn Wonderland, Tempting Fate, and really very good suggestion.
She's still alive?
I listened to it twice. A really good record.
Is she still alive?
I don't know. She looked pretty young I was just looking at a little picture on my phone, but she looks pretty young. I don't know when it came out.
The videos I was watching, she was pretty old. And
oh, really?
Yeah, so I might be thinking of a different person.
I hope she's still with us because I honestly, if she popped up on my concert thing at like Lincoln Hall or wherever I go see concert, I'd go see her in a heartbeat. Absolutely, she's really really cool. So yeah, thank you, Jack.
She is.
She's totally dead, isn't she?
She is 50 years old.
Oh, this is not the same.
She's
I'm
younger
thinking
than
of a
me.
different.
Yep.
I'm thinking of someone else.
I'm gonna add her. I'm gonna add her to my my concert notifications and stuff because if she comes to town, I'm going. No doubt about it. She's really really good. Great suggestion.
So he suggests for me, Brennan Lee, Obsessed with the West, which this is an album she does with Asleep at the Wheel. And I love Asleep at the Wheel. And they've done albums with just about everybody. Willie Nelson. They've done songs with Dolly. They've done their own shit. They were in the tragic movie Wild Texas Wind, made for television movie, when What's His Doodle beats up Dolly. Oh, it's terrible. Wild Texas Wind. Y'all never seen the made for television movie Wild Texas Wind?
No.
And
now I definitely don't want to see it.
Not Nick Nolte. What is his name?
Somebody beats up Dolly?
Oh, he beats the crap out of her. She has
I don't want to
bruises.
see
She's
that.
got bloody face. It is terrible. Her
What the hell?
Her name is Big T. And but the Sleep at the Wheel is the backing band for that, and I just get very upset every time I think about poor Dolly getting beat up. I'm gonna find out what his name was though. Hold on. Wow, Texas one. Anyway,
it's Nolte.
It's not. It's that other one that's worse. Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
Oh, Gary
Beats up
Busey,
Dolly
yes.
Parton. It's
Nick
from like
Nolte,
1991. It was a made-for-TV movie.
How have I never heard of that?
You've never
That's
even heard?
crazy.
Oh, and there's great
never heard of it
songs
either.
in it.
don't
They're
wanna see this.
swinging.
What's
like
it called?
that.
Wild Texas
Gary
Wind?
Busey is
Wild
an actor that I
Texas
can kind of.
Gary Busey's terrible, but
Yeah.
and that movie makes you like even not want to care about him even more. And then he beats up Dolly.
And well, he was
like,
the asshole in Back in the Future
it's
1, right?
Terrible.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's his claim to fame.
Yeah.
He was?
He was what?
He was the bad guy in Back to the Future?
Oh,
the
yeah.
Future 1.
Was he Biff?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, he was Biff.
No,
yeah.
he wasn't Biff.
Who was
wasn't
Biff?
No.
I thought he was.
No,
I
that's
thought he was Biff.
no.
He was Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Remember
He
Buddy
was
Holly's story?
Yeah,
Which was a fairly decent movie, actually. I thought he was Biff.
No.
I thought he was Biff too.
No, he does kind of look like Gary Busey.
Yeah, that was just an actor. Anyway, as we reached the 1 hour and 46 minute
Thomas
mark.
F. Wilson played Biff. Just for
of course.
Okay. So, anyways, Brennan Lee, Obsessed with the West. Sorry, the Sleep at the Wheel got me on. Poor Dolly and Wild Texas Wind. I really liked it, and I'm actually probably going to get it. So there is a song on there. It's really great called "Tell Him I'm Dead." Comes round if he's calling, if he's wanting to know what's going on, just tell him I'm dead. I don't want to talk to that bitch. Tell him I'm dead. I like it.
Not a bad idea.
Just tell him I'm dead.
Well, Jack recommended for me the Beat Farmers, and the record was Glad and Greasy, which took me a while to look up. It's an EP, actually. And I finally found it and was able to, I had to go through and find the different, because I use YouTube. There was no playlist, so I found it on Discogs and then looked up the individual songs. It opens with an okay cover of Powderfinger. I mean, it's a very pedestrian cover, in my opinion. They are kind of a country garage rock punk combination of what they do. But I also kind of felt like they were sort of derivative of the Cramps. So while they were trying to do that kind of music, they didn't have the panache in my opinion, of the Cramps. And so, yeah, it was just kind of okay. Not something that I would be interested in picking up.
Okay, so he picked for me a 3.5 hour long album. And it's a good thing you picked me for that, because these Uncle Fuckers would have took one look at that and went, yeah, nobody's got time for that.
I liked how you said Uncle Fuckers.
Uncle Fuckers. Uncle Fuckers. I thought I heard that right.
So yeah, Terry Allen is his name. Pedal Steel and Four Corners. Yeah. And the reason he picked that for me is because it's a radio thing, and it was great. There was a part of it I didn't care for. I didn't care for the whole the killers on the run and the whole description of the outlaws. I'm not into glorifying criminals and all that kind of stuff. I can't stand that stuff. So I don't like that part. But the other parts I thought were great. It's kind of like an R-rated Prairie Home Companion. It has a lot of dialogue. It's it's basically all dialogue. There is obviously a little bit of music going on between and then underneath. But it's like listening to an old-time radio show, but they would not put this on the radio. It's like I said, it's like an R-rated version of that. But the stories and the characters, some of them are really interesting. The torso thing is great. The first part where it's kind of just introducing different characters and different things going on in this small town, with the movie, where back behind the movie theater and that kind of stuff, I thought that was great. Like I said, I liked most of it except for the criminals on the run, the kind of Bonnie and Clyde homage. I'm not into that, but with 3.5 hours, there was a lot, to like. So, but I don't know if I'd get it on a record, because I think it's just great to listen to, which I did driving, in the car at night or really, really early in the morning before the sun comes up. I listened to this before I went and worked out, before the sun came up, and would have this on. And it was just because I saw myself in a video. I'm like, I need to get back to working out. But yeah, it was really interesting, and I had no idea, never heard of this before. So I'm really glad that that he picked this for me, because it was really interesting. Like I said, not the kind of thing I'd probably want records of. It's kind of more of the thing, you either listen to out, like I said, driving at night, or out on the back porch at midnight with just, if you live on a lake or something like that. It's really, really interesting. So Terry Allen, Pedal Steel, and Four Corners. It's kind of split up into little, well, not little, 25, 30-minute long segments. Yeah. It's like you're listening to a bunch of episodes all at once. So it's probably better to listen to, I tried to have it all listened to by the time we did this. It would have been better to probably listen to, one segment a week or something, like you would have heard it on the radio, like, oh, it's Saturday night, it's time for the whatever. But I really want to find out more and listen to some other stuff too. I don't know if they have other.
Terry Allen's pretty cool. He did some stuff with Jerry Garcia in the early 70s, more like steel pedal and bluegrass.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. This sounded all, so new. I didn't even realize he was around that long.
Oh yeah, he's been around. Yeah, he's been around forever. I don't know if he's still alive, but and then he also did some jazzier stuff, which I think I have a couple of them. So yeah.
So he is a pedal steel guitarist then.
Yeah,
that's okay. I probably have heard of him and just didn't, because it's such a common name.
Yeah,
I probably just. But yeah, thanks for that. So I mean, like as far as mine goes, I mean, I've found at least like Susie and the Banshees and the Kinks, obviously I've heard of before, but. Other than that, I found out, 3 people that I'd never heard of: Amanaz, Graham Coxon, and Terry Allen. Yeah, that I'll definitely explore more of. So I'm really glad we did this contest.
This has been really cool. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Thank everybody that enter and took the time out to do that. That was really awesome of all of you. And
we had 2 people make their first videos for this contest. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, greatly appreciated.
And now it's time to thank somebody by giving them a $40 Amazon gift card. Craig has all the names in the hat.
Oh,
He's going to pick one.
I got it all here.
Are we going to get a copyright strike because I just did that?
Probably. I don't know.
Just don't sing happy birthday. They don't like that.
Really?
I can't read my writing. Oh. Marsha.
Yeah.
Marsha. Marsha. Yay, Marsha P. Or Marcia, as I like to call her.
All right, congratulations, Marsha. Somebody will be in contact. It won't, sometime we'll get around to it.
And congratulations on starting your channel.
Yeah.
She started her channel. She's 3 videos in, and everyone is so entertaining. She's absolutely fantastic.
So thanks again for watching. Next time we said, we'll have the tops and bottoms of 1978, and we will be live. We will also review the Viagra Boys album, Cave World. So a lot going on, because I think 1978 is going to take a while, because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
So once again, we are the Vinyl Community Guncles. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Robert Fithen, along with
Richard here at Calvin Wazoo,
Craig's Vinyl Plethora,
and Mike at Hubtunes.
Just under 2 hours. Thank you so much.
Nice. Boom.